question. Is it pet smart or PetSmart? Are you saying that pets are smart? Or are you saying you're a mart for pets? I need answers! Which one is it? And it can't be both!
I've got a follow-up question. Is NFP continence or indulgence? Because it can't be both. I did an interview with Christopher Thrutchly Jr. He's such a hippie. I would never have done it had I known his hair was so long. However, it's too late now. We went through connecting the dots of this death-giving love, a.k.a. NFP, and all its fallout when you connect the dots. Cool? So we took over Anthony Stein's Return to Tradition studio, and he's returning from tradition because he goes to Novus Ordo only now. But he's got a few questions remaining on NFP, so I thought we'd cover that and how it connects to adultery and, annulments, what his bishop would say. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be good. This is John Farrell. You're watching Annulment Proof.
So to set the stage here, Mr. John Farrell has graciously accepted me as a guest on his show. I was in a conversation on the internet with a Greek Orthodox friend named Sam. He was saying that if NFP is okay, then the pill and condoms must be okay. And my reply to him was straight up, full stop. I said, I would rather reject NFP than accept the pill and condoms. And from there, my Greek Orthodox friend Sam says, have I converted you to John Farrell Catholicism? And I said, what's that? And so Sam introduces me to your channel, John. And I thought your content was very entertaining. I really had a good time listening to it. And so I messaged Sam and I said, John says he's pretty approachable. Would you watch it if we had a YouTube call together and it went to his channel? And Sam says, absolutely. So that's why I'm here. Sam wants me to ask 2 questions, and that's it. Why is NFP bad? And what's going on with annulments in the Catholic Church circa, year of our Lord, 2026? What's going on?
Am I approachable? Well, I'm just desperate for anyone to approach me. In fact, most people are like, here comes the leper. Get this guy away from us. We're not. So I'm happy that, if we can get anything. By the way, it's your show, not mine, but that's cool. No problem. So I'm not in charge of the controls, but I'm like, hey, I'm glad we got this scheduled. Yeah, because it's tough enough to get these things recorded and done. And your Greek Orthodox friend, he that's kind of funny because, in some ways, the Catholics are the ones who have the most institutional bias because Catholics have got to go with, John Paul II and the NFP is part of the mix and everyone's doing it or whatever. Everyone's accepting of it. So we have to accept it. Whereas those who are not Catholics they're not bound by that. So they're like, dude, it's Catholic contraception. I mean, what are you thinking? What's going on here? It's like having open southern borders and saying, no, the border is secure. There's nothing to see here. So you're like, no, something is going on here. Okay, so sure, we're going to talk about some of this stuff. That's good, and I'm glad you're asking me. Now, could you
interject? I forgot to do something very important. I need to give credit to Anthony Stein of Return to Tradition. I am in his office. He's lending me his rig. I'm recording on his stuff. All credit to Anthony Stein.
Hey, that's totally cool. Do you guys go to Clear Creek? Do you hang out on Sundays at Clear Creek and stuff? Is that what's going on?
So here's the story, and we can get into this later too. We used to go to the same parish. I've started going somewhere else, so I'm the loser here. But he and we would sit in the cry room at a parish together, and we would talk about Michael Jackson conspiracy theories. It was great. Anthony's definitely one of my best friends from my former parish. I think the world of Anthony. One of my friends said he's hands down the best Catholic news show out there. And I'm going to be honest, I agree. I think he's great. I don't always agree with his opinions, candidly, but he's always, you can rely on him for good takes. I really think so.
Sure. I just kind of discovered him out of the blue and been watching ever since. And it's
awesome.
But I did what we were talking about earlier when he came on is that he gets going very early in the morning, and it's never easy to get a time to do podcast or we just have to get it done. So we may push pause a little bit in between this. But you came across this question of NFP, and why don't you just go with the flow, Christopher? I mean, listen, it's Pius XII, in fact, said NFP is okay. It's natural. And everyone else does today too, for grave cause. And you don't want to force someone to have a baby if they're going to die. So why can't you just let a little love in the room, Christopher? And why are you even asking these questions? I mean, get a haircut. What's the problem? Talk to me.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think for me, there's sort of a distinction between what the church teaches through various channels, say the bishops or the Bishop of Rome or the councils, and then philosophy. So philosophically, in my discussions with Sam, I've had to concede, sexual ethics really isn't my wheelhouse, John. You probably know a lot more about it than I do. I have to concede to him on philosophy. I can't really make a case that I'm satisfied with that the pill and condoms are bad, which I absolutely hold as a Roman Catholic Christian. Right. But then also that suddenly NFP is okay. I had to concede to Sam. I don't really have a good response to that.
Right. And Sam said there is no good response. Have you talked to Annulment Proof or John Farrell or whatever? Right.
That's pretty much how you're exactly
so
right.
Dude, it's really tough to have a good response because to get the answers, you can't really get them anywhere. Okay. Yes. If you start researching, everything is tailor-made to know this is a unity thing. John Paul II. It's really hard. And even a lot of the sedes and stuff are like, pro NFP. And
that's right. So it's hard to get out of. It's
and I'm thinking to myself, part of the reason why I'm even talking about this is because of annulments and the annulment thing. I got personal experience with it, which we could talk about in a minute. But I started smelling a rat. I'm like, what is the source of this? How can we say a marriage isn't valid? Where's the root of the problem? And then it comes down to the definition of consent, which is no longer something objective, definable, but it is a total gift of self, right? So you may be interviewing me right now, but are you interviewing my total self? Am I holding anything back right now? We have no idea. I might be. I could be. I don't even know if I have my whole self to interview. Okay. So you could say, no, this was an interview or this was not an interview. And maybe 20 years later, some tribunal can decide that this was actually not an interview, even though it looked like one. It just
with AI generated video, right?
Yeah, no. It just wasn't, because it wasn't a total self reveal. And it wasn't a total gift of self. It was just words, but that's not what a real interview is. A truly deep interview is not just words. It's everything. It's not just what opens your mouth. It's not just vocal. Okay. An interview has to do with the truth. So I'm like, all right, where does this come from? What is this self stuff? Comes from NFP. So the NFP is now saying the telos of the conjugal act, like this is my new telos right here. This is a pointer. It's an antenna, a telescopic antenna is pointing somewhere, and it points toward procreation. But the new telos is something called unity, which is just another name of good vibes, love, whatever you fill in the blank. Okay. So since we have that new telos, we can't define what that is. Like good hair day. Try to define that legally. You're not going to get there. So who are you to judge my hair day? That's between me and my hair. You can't. And so now we're talking like, this is the problem with the annulment. So what we've got, Christopher, is, I call it the new paganism, where you're sacrificing marriage and civilization to the god of the conjugal act for itself, which is nothing new. Okay. The ancient Romans did that. The Sodom and Gomorrah people did that. All those guys there. It's like we're doing. Once you start making that your thing, everything else goes in the back seat. like, you know, the homo movement and stuff. They don't care about truth. They care about, because God gives you horse and mule. God gives you up to your lusts, right? And it's the same with NFP, although less perverse, but it's still a perversion. And so once you start searching, you instead of pointing towards God via procreation, you're pointing towards self via, quote, unity, which is the buzzword, the catch-all word for my flesh. You're creating a new God. So then it feeds on itself, and you are willing to sacrifice anything for that, which is why people who you want, the pro-abort movement is kind of, it's on the same tree as that, the same branch. They don't want to say, well, this is a baby, so we really shouldn't do that. That's probably not right. They'll sacrifice their baby death for what they want to do. It takes over. And this is, so NFP takes over. If we need to break a few eggs, if we need to sacrifice a few marriages for our NFP, so be it. Although what you've done now is you've destroyed the entire edifice, the legal basis. You've taken away the southern border of the USA and say, the border is not a physical barrier. It's more of a sign of an identity. America is an idea. It's not a country. I've been trying to get to Michael Knowles more about this too. I'm moving him. I got his email finally, and I've been emailing him, and he did email me back. But he's an NFP guy. He's surrounded by the other guys at the Daily Wire. Who is it? Pints with Aquinas, Mr. NFP himself, that dude. So he's going to be hard for, and then Father Gregory Pine and all these Catholic Inc. people. It's going to be very difficult for him to extract himself. The politics of NFP are so strong, so pervasive, and the antidote or the explanation as to why it's wrong is so difficult to achieve, to find, to expose, to apprehend, because no one will explain it except some goofball like me who picks up tires in the middle of the night out of dumpsters. That's my curriculum vitae, okay? That's how smart I am. I did get a college degree. I don't know how I ever did it. I have no idea. I was a rock star, and I played rugby. I was good at that. And we opened for Nirvana. That's about as famous as we ever got. I met those guys before they were big. Yeah.
Hold on, John. You opened for Nirvana. No kidding.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
In 1989. Yeah.
You need to make that your profile picture on YouTube. Actually,
I remember meeting Kurt Cobain. I'm like, this dude, he looks like he just came out of the spin cycle of the dryer. These little guys, little wimpy dudes, and they show up and they just blew the roof off of the bar where we were playing. So we opened up, and then this group called Nirvana shows up. I'm like, who are these guys? I could tell they were going somewhere. It was crazy. Wow. And then there must have been at least, I don't know, 200 people there. That was it. Yeah.
So get this, John. I was homeschooled, but I contemplated dropping out of high school, homeschool, to be a guitarist.
Oh, yeah?
I wasn't good enough. I'm okay now. Probably the hardest thing. I can mostly play, Metallica, Fade to Black. I'm more of a metal guy.
Uh-huh. Oh, I used to be pretty serious punk rock, so I wouldn't really do the metal because the metal guys and the punk guys were they're like Ford and Chevy, right? That's right. But now it's all blended together. It's pretty blended, a lot of it. But yeah, it's a long way to the top if you're going to rock and roll, and basically it's nowhere. So I was playing drums, and I kind of had my reversion. Sorry to dominate the airwaves here. I kind of had my reversion about.
You're the entertainer here. I'm just.
When I was 20 years old, because I grew up Catholic, just going through the motions from. I grew up in Ann Arbor. It was like super lib, and not this. Wild, and then in the 80s in San Antonio, and then I reverted. Then I was still playing drums. That's when we met Nirvana and stuff. And I rock and roll is one of the last things to go. They'll tell you at the seminary, because it's not Christian. It's not good. It's not good for you. It's bad music. It's like Twinkies for your heart valves. It's just not good. But you like it. There's an attraction to it. I literally like that Simpsons episode or the King of the Hill or whatever. You're not making music any. You're not making rock and roll any better. You're not making church better. You're making rock and roll worse. So if you're gonna rock out, go Black Sabbath, not something weak, okay, or Christian quote. So anyway, my point is that you made the right decision, because even if you were a major rock star, there comes a point where you can't go on like that. There's just no future in it. You have to choose between Christ or rock and roll. Those are your choices.
Is that what happened to you, John, basically?
Well, I just, after a while, it's like I graduated from college and it's like, okay, this gig is not really going anywhere necessarily. So I moved up to Seattle, and then I saw Nirvana at Motorsports Garage, and there were 6,000 people there. Like 3 weeks later, I was like, whoa. But so I still play drums. I don't really listen to the music much anymore, but it's like, hey, once you kind of a part of you, you're always, once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. You don't have to be drinking, kind of like that. So it's just have to understand all Americans are addicted to it. And it's sort of you can't really pray and listen to rock. It's like spiritual direction from the devil. It's what it is. So just, you got to ease off on it if you're going to try to really pray. And my life got really serious when my lovely wife with the 5 kids says, "Oh, I'm going to divorce you now, and I got a boyfriend," and I'm like, what is this divorce? She goes, "Oh, I wouldn't do it if it were a sin." And I'm like, well, is it even a sin? And so we're trying to figure it all out. Nobody knows, and the priest won't talk. And she was doing lots of NFP. Nobody, I didn't know about NFP, if it was good or bad. I'm just like, well, this is what she wants. We're trying to keep everyone happy. John Paul II says, lay down your life, keep sacrificing, throw more love at the problem. Nice guys win. All that. Point being was things got pretty serious for this beer drinking rock and roll Catholic. Pretty freaking serious. When you start taking someone's kids away from them, you want to talk. It's like, how many kids do you have?
I have 4, John, and the thought of having them taken from me just destroys me.
Okay, so your wife can get the boyfriend. She can call the state and have them removed from you because you're abusive, and we don't like guys who are patriarchal, who can control the family, because that's your castle. You're the bishop of your family. Oh, really? No, we are, bro. Get out. Okay. So you don't have any rights because love wins, and love can't be defined. And love is now the edifice of marriage per your own Catholic Church. So step off, Chris, and you're going to pay for a bunch of guardian ad litems to make sure you're not dangerous to your own kids. And then we're going to let you see your kids every Thursday and every other weekend. And they're going to cry when they go back and forth because it really damages them. But it has nothing to do with nature. They're just mere civil effects. So when that stuff starts going on and your kids are getting their hearts ripped in half, and the bishop is telling you, there's nothing we can do. This is fine. We'll pray for you. Just love your kids. They're telling you that this has nothing to do with nature or divine law. You're like, okay, time out. What is the what's the problem? Got to figure this out. So you start calling tribunals, and they're all like, I'm sorry, these questions are making us uncomfortable, and I think we're going to terminate this call now. It's just like those, like I was talking to you earlier, the Senate hearings and stuff, when they say, can a man get pregnant? Well, that question is, not really what I was here to talk about. Can the baby, is it really the economically advantageous to the baby to allow these abortions? Well, this is just a fetus. And, so they don't want these questions. Listen, like Stein was saying earlier, when we were setting up your microphone and everything, you're trying to impose the new theology on Catholicism. You're saying, we had a southern border there, but borders are really ideas, not mere physical borders. So we need to create our border in light of or in harmony with the new understanding, the deeper truth of what it means to be border. Okay. So it's not that U.S. doesn't have a border, but it's now needs the deeper understanding. So everything needs to be, that's why they call it the hermeneutic of continuity. We got to keep it all together. You know, so this is why this NFP has thrown a wrench into everything, because we're taking Catholicism, we're taking truth, nature, objectivity, definition, and we're saying it's all has to go, but we're going to throw 8 million words from John Paul II so that you can saw through those 8 million words to try to get to the bottom of it. Good luck with that, and just read them really slowly. And it's somewhere buried in there is essentially procreation is secondary. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just like people go to Amoris Laetitia. You can read the whole thing super slowly. Bottom line is he says adultery is not sin. That's all it says in Amoris Laetitia. Adultery. And you have to say that because there's no contract, because marriage is now a covenant, as you know, as you've heard, right? It's a covenant. So a covenant has no rights, has no definition. It's just a God thing. And therefore, if marriage is love, then adultery is love too. You go where the love is. And that's why Pope Francis finally kind of came out of the closet and he says shacking up is marriage. Therefore, adultery is marriage, because love is marriage. Love is the foundation. Is it not? Is all this like Scott Hahn keeps saying, we need this marriage is life-giving love. Doesn't that sound great? Who could argue with life-giving love? And we're putting life first because life is paramount. It's like soup. Whoever wrote all these it's like the devil wrote this stuff. It's so slippery, so tricky, so smooth, so saccharine, but you love it because you just got the look. It sounds so great, and people like, Scott Hahn and what's his wife, Kimberly Hahn, and Lila Rose, and all they're just gushing over all this stuff. It's like, yes, it's so compassionate when we take the baby and crush its head and get rid of it in an abortion. It's so compassionate. We're helping. So it's like, no, there's blood in the streets. Oh, well, yeah, but this is where we find the healing. So the healing annulments and you killed your baby. That's bad, but you have Project Rachel, and you recover. You got to admit it. Hi, I'm John. I'm an alcoholic. I'm at my Project Rachel meeting. I've killed my baby, but I'm here to heal this. So you can't, if divorce isn't something where you've killed your family, there's nothing to heal from, because there's no violation if there's no definition. So I use that example of, Chris, you own a car, but if I'll just come and drive your car because I feel like I want to drive it. And if you call the cops, they're like, hey, he likes it more than you do. And we can't really judge his motives at this point. And so, just send him flowers and just see if you can be nice to him. Maybe he'll bring it back. And you're like, so this is why I try to make these videos to let people know, the Zoomers. What year were you born, Chris?
I'm 93, John.
Okay.
How about yourself? Are you okay to yourself?
I'm not there yet. 1966 was a pivotal year for a lot of things. A lot of stuff happened.
My father was born in 67.
Really? Oh, man, yeah, what a youngster.
My father is, he's a very good lawyer, I'm told. And actually, part of why I want to talk to you is I'm actually really bad at law. And I've noticed in your videos, you make a lot of talking points about legal theory. And I'd actually like your help. If somebody wants to learn legal theory to be able to understand like the way definitions of marriage have shifted, if you have recommendations, that'd be great. But I actually want to touch on something else before we go into that.
Okay.
And something you touched on with John Paul II that I actually am very sympathetic to. So let me tell you this. I think that there is so much content that's very technical and esoteric. There's so much content that's come out of the post-conciliar magisterium, post-conciliar after the Second Vatican Council, I mean. There's so much content that's come out of it. It's a gargantuan task to even understand what has been said, let alone assent to it with any meaningful assent. I guess I used the same word twice there. Or formulate whether it makes sense in light of prior teaching. I think that's a huge problem for regular Joe Catholics like you and me, you know? So I think that I'm very sympathetic to that. Yeah, I guess I just want to throw that out there.
The point is that it's hard to get to the truth because there's like too much of it. There's too much information.
Absolutely. I think there's information overload in contemporary Catholicism, and it's very chaotic, and it is hard to know how to make sense of it. I really think so.
I was just gonna a priest. Did you see it? I did an interview with Father Noiseau a few weeks back.
The older gentleman,
the old guy, yeah.
I listened to the whole thing. That was delightful. I really enjoyed it.
He kind of reminds me of like Father John Hardin Part 2, and he talks better too. Yes. He doesn't talk so softly, but he just on a related note, he just texted me or emailed me about what you're talking about. And,
yes.
And the word is, I'm going to do a search for it here. I got his like,
I love that.
Spiritual whiteout. That's what he calls it. Spiritual whiteout. He says God's providence has allowed us that all of us are living in a spiritual whiteout. Is okay. So in other words, when you're driving and it's so snowy, you can't really see the road.
Yes.
So this is what we have now.
Yes.
And he says he underlines this. There's absolutely no frame of reference. Sort of like marriage. Is divorce a sin? Follow your heart. Check your conscience on that, because it's up to you to decide, because it's no longer public. So what you're saying, so this, like, well, I was talking to my daughter too, my oldest daughter. She's like, yeah, she's a Father Mike Schmitz Halo guy type girl. Okay. And she's like, well, we just follow the catechism, and how hard is this? I mean, I can't relearn the church. If the catechism says it, we're going with that. She's taking care of the kids. I'm like, it's actually, it's more convenient. How should I put it? You have to give a lot of people slack because they do sort of go there, and that, if the catechism says it, how much of a theological nerd do we need to be? Look, I'm going to church. I'm doing what the priest says. I do my rosary. I read the catechism, and I listen to Chris Stefanik. So what's up? But what the problem is, eventually, when you're driving in this spiritual whiteout, you are going to run into a frozen elk at some point, or something's going to happen. You're like, problem. It's not in the catechism. Like, yeah, well, frozen elks aren't real, and things you might run into are, just require discernment. Like, no. This is a big problem. I got broken glass everywhere, and I can't breathe. And, so sorry to talk so much. The point is that what happens is people start having trouble. People start going, wait a minute, this free love, this free theology stuff is running into the rocks. Now you have a huge amount of Catholics out there that are broken, messed up, trashed from basically following the catechism when reality hits on some of this theory. Like your NFP, there's people watching right now who are like, yeah, this NFP stinks. This NFP, it's like, my wife wants it. I don't really want it. I don't really understand it. Everyone says it's good. I'm trying to do it. It stinks. What's going on here? And they can't quite get past that, because everywhere they talk to, everyone's part of the Twilight Zone on this. Everybody. Like, it's really hard. Luckily, we have the internet now, so you can do some research.
I do want to interject briefly. Is that okay?
Go. No, you got to interject me because I'll talk too much. Go ahead.
Okay, I do want to say something. You're making a very good point, so I want to say something about that. I think that I think that, like, marital debt to sexual intercourse, that has to be mutual in a certain sense. Now, don't freak out at me. I think you'll agree when I say what I mean. What I mean is, if the husband wants the wife to deliver on the marital debt, she should, but also vice versa. So where that goes with NFP, by definition, I don't think you can do NFP, even if NFP is okay, which we haven't established that philosophically, in this conversation at least. I don't think you can do that. I don't think a woman can push NFP on her husband. I think that's very inappropriate. And I also think I think it's inappropriate the other way too, What do you think of that, though? Tell me your thoughts.
Okay, it's like I said, all this is a little bit tricky. NFP, by its practice, by its legitimacy, says unilateral forced NFP is okay. And the reason is because of unity, you know, with una caro and all that. Unity is the new telos. Remember? Got a telos here, man.
Yeah.
Unity.
Right.
So life-giving love. Love is the basis, the edifice, the foundation, and it gives off life. Okay, but this is love. This thing is love. And love means it's got to be together. Okay. So if you want to end the stream and I don't, you can do that. But if I have a right to unity, I say you're not allowed to. Or if you have a right to unity and you say, no, I'm not feeling this stream right now, so I'm out because it's not what I want. Point is that the legal basis of NFP is unity is essence. Nature is essence. Law is the essence of marriage. Unity is now essence because it's life-giving love instead of death-giving love. It's life-giving love. So NFP no longer requires mutual consent. There's no such thing as marital debt if you have NFP, which is why I keep trying to get the memo to Timothy Gordon, Mr. Super Stud Muffin. He's the best ever on all the stuff about, you know, Ephesians 5. He's like the best. He knows so much stuff. It's really good. But he totally blows it on NFP and he undercuts his whole thing. It's like saying we have to have strong borders, but the border isn't actually a real physical thing. It's an idea. But we have to have strong borders. Dude, you're hosed. You're dumb. No. But he won't go. It's politics, man. And he says the conjugal act is good at the end of the purpose of the conjugal act is the conjugal act. That's where he's at. It's the new paganism. Then it's a horse and mule. It's like so it's politics and it's what we want.
And what's funny, John, is a biologist is going to tell you the truth about sexual teleology. Like Richard
I'm
Dawkins.
not a biologist, so I don't know. Yeah, of course, that's right.
If you were Richard Dawkins and you ask him why does sexuality exist in the animal kingdom, he's going to tell you how it is. You know, he's not gonna BS you. But you go up to a Roman Catholic and you ask them like, what's the purpose of sexuality? And I think I agree with you. To your point, they're going to say, oh well, it's unity, it's love.
It's
come
yes,
on.
The revolution is complete. There are no more people standing who say what I say. Like they're all dead. Everyone died out in the 60s. It was like when what killed the dinosaurs, the great asteroid or the flood killed the dinosaurs, right? No, none are left. But they found some fossils and so with the internet, and you got someone like me, when you take someone's kids away, that motivates people to get to the bottom of it. And very little else will, because the amount of sludge I've had to claw through to get to the information is like extreme. And I don't have time. You don't have time. You got to work. You got stuff. You got to manage your emotions. You're trying to sleep. You're trying to make money. You're trying to pay everything. You're trying to take care of your kids that are all like messed up. And you're trying to get somewhere. Anyway, so
that's very helpful. I appreciate you being transparent about that. I think it's good for people to realize, because I'm going to say this publicly. I resent the indifference of many bishops to what's actually happening to their flock. And I think that can be applied to so many situations in the United States. I'm going to be candid and say my bishop, I love him. His name's David Conderla. I'm in the Diocese of Tulsa. I cannot say a single bad thing about Conderla, maybe, or Bishop David. Someone else might. I would not personally, but there are some really irresponsible shepherds out there. And I think that they need to understand the effect that their decisions are having on our lives. You know? Your
bishop is a material heretic.
Really?
Every single one of them in the U.S. is, without exception, every one of them.
I think so.
If you asked your bishop, are the effects of marriage is the marriage contract merely civil effects? He will say yes. He will say yes. Child custody is a merely civil effect, has nothing to do with nature. Education of children in the Catholic faith has nothing to do with Catholic rights. You have no right to educate your kids. That belongs to the state. That is what he will say. And he will say that anyone who divorces on their own authority can go to heaven. It's not a sin because you get to go to communion. If your wife goes trans, gets a couple boyfriends with green hair, takes your kids and tattoos them, and you pay for it all, she can still go to communion. Because who are we to judge? That's between her and God. There is no such thing as public manifest sin anymore, because manifest means you can see it, which means you can judge it, and you can't judge love, bro. No, love there's
literally how it's approached. You're so right. I actually was talking to an Orthodox friend, not Sam, a different one. His name's Tad. But I was talking to Tad recently, and he was like, from the outside of the Roman Catholic Church, it looks like Catholics can believe whatever they want as long as they kiss the ring of the Pope. And Sam has said similar things. And I told him, yeah, I think that's scandalous. What I want them to do is make a list of every bishop who is plausibly a heretic, which according to you would be all of them in the U.S. And I can concede that for the sake of
you want to say material heretic, because you can't judge anybody as a heretic. You know what I mean? It's like, but I see you got to distinguish that. Yeah. Go ahead, continue.
I was going to say what I'd propose to help convince the Orthodox churches that Roman Catholicism can be honest on this issue is make a list of all the material heretics who are bishops. Let's just start there. Maybe cardinals, because there's definitely a few
they're
of them.
basically, yeah, go ahead.
Right, so make a list of them, put it on Excel, and have it randomly select 5 of them to just blanket excommunicate. I think that would be great. If Rome ever finds this video due to some miracle, I hope that they do that.
Rome is right now. Rome is in. It's weird because I was writing. Let me say one thing else. So it's almost like you've heard of Trump derangement syndrome. So like if Barack Obama is rounding up illegals and talking about war with Iran, that's good. If Trump does the same thing, that's bad. So the bishops and the priests can't give support to some of the Catholics who are trying to be faithful to their vows and stuff, because their ideology is annulment, NFP, and marriage is love. And the Stander has the ideology or the faith that marriage is a contract, which is till death. So therefore, we're not going to give you any quarter. Kind of like Jesus when he was, at Christmas, there was no room at the inn. 0, bro. So you get shut out. We're going to give you lots of love. If you need help with your annulment, they'll roll out the red carpet. But if you want to call the tribunal and ask for help with your marital rights, like I have a right to be with my kids, and my husband took my kids and by the state, and he's going to communion. He's a good Catholic now. He goes, he's a Steubenville grad, and everything's cool. And he just said I was abusive, and so. Steubenville is like the epicenter of NFP. Steubenville, woo!
This might scare you a bit. I hope not. But my sponsor, when I'm a convert, John.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it if you have time. But when I converted, my sponsor was a Steubenville guy. I don't know if he's cringe like the ones you mentioned are or not. I can't say. I don't know him that well, honestly. But so yeah, I know a little bit about their circle.
Yeah, well, the Steubenville. If you look at any of the religious education directors or the guy in charge of Office of Family and Marriage at any parish or diocese in the country, like they're all of them from Steubenville. It's like they crank out this theology of the body mindset, and the bishop's like, yes, throw more NFP and love at the problem. I can't deal with it. The state handles it. So. They just can't look at it because, like we said, what's happened is all these people are coming over the southern border and they don't want to address the problem because it's going to mean having to get back to reality. So they talk about other things like we need to love we need to love everyone in the world. God is love. When everyone comes over the border, that's love. We need to love them. No. We have to. Otherwise, you got nothing. You don't have a country. You have no marriage if you can't define what you've heard of nowadays. You're hearing all this stuff like no more Mr. Nice Guy. Guys need to maintain their frame, right? Have you heard that phrase, Christopher?
Is that a Pearl Davis thing?
Sort of. And all the there's a lot of bro dudes like on the internet saying,
Back MGTOW? Is this adjacent to MGTOW?
Yeah, a little bit. So
Okay.
So men need to maintain their frame in the relationship. Otherwise, the woman walks all over him.
That's arguably true. Wouldn't you say? Like in most friendships, you sort of have to maintain your frame. I think that makes sense. Does that make you
if the police don't maintain their frame, the criminal element goes all over the place. Just like the gangsters in Chicago will lean out the car and shoot their guns right in front of the cops because the cops know the cops aren't going to do anything. So, but the question is, what can the police do? They have no more frame because the mayor took it away. They're like, don't do anything. So same with marriage today. If marriage is the total gift of self and someone's, violating your rights, your spouse is, you're like, just give more of yourself. That's all you can do. Jesus gave himself on the cross. You need to give more of yourself. Just pray. There is no rights. That's more of ancient Roman thing. We don't do right. No, God we need to move beyond rights. So Vatican II gave us a deeper understanding, as you know. So it's all deep, dude. And if you can't handle it, you're not deep enough. And so nothing has changed. It's just deepened. And bottom line, it's the NFP. We want our conjugal act. We don't want to have 17 kids or go to hell, which is what you're supposed to do. She will be saved through childbearing. She won't be saved through avoiding childbearing. Just like you have to work. You won't be saved through avoiding work. I made that meme once. It's like, the fat guy laying on the couch, drinking beer, watching TV is like, my boss treats me like just he doesn't treat me like a person. So I would be lying with my body if I actually went to work. I'm being more honest. So I'm hanging out and eating because I'm not going to go to work because I would be lying with my actions. It's not my, so this is why it's a bunch of like, I call it like Catholic New Age goo. The stuff, they're saying like, woo, 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 woo. And when you try to throw rocks at those in the ivory tower, they look down and they don't say anything, or they won't engage. They can't defend. It's like trying to say abortion is natural, abortion is good, abortion hurts no one. It's a sad thing, but it's for the best. You can't defend that. But you can appeal to a lot of people and move on and get political donations, but you can't defend it intellectually or morally, nor can you defend easy annulments or NFP intellectually or morally, but you sure can win a lot of friends and you can get by because you've got all the political cover that you want.
So you're making a really good point, John. So one thing I'd like to add about this is I have a lot of friends in trad Catholic circles. Would you consider yourself in the trad Catholic space, John, or would that be the wrong way?
Yeah, I never really did. It's like you're Catholic or you're not. I never really said I'm trad or I'm this or, but I'm like, trad just means tradition. Trad just means tradition, and Catholicism is tradition.
That's right.
So, but it's like, are you a modernist or are you not? Are you Catholic or are you modernist? You can say, I don't know. So I don't say I don't know, but I don't like to say I don't say I'm a trad because that means that you're not normal Catholic or.
Yeah. So what I was going to say about that, where I was going with that, is just that Dr. Matthew Meinard is a Byzantine Thomist, which is actually kind of a medieval thing, but it sort of fell out of use in the modern period, and he's trying to resurrect it. So he's a really cool guy, really eclectic. He went to the TLM before he sort of gave up on the Roman Rite. And he's still Catholic, but he's in the Byzantine Rite. I want to say he's
Latin Rite, yeah.
Yeah, he's Ruthenian now.
Okay.
Ruthenian,
all right,
Catholic. So
but
they're
in Aquinas. He likes Aquinas, and he's more Eastern Rite.
Yeah, like Gennadius George Scholarius he was the Patriarch of Constantinople in the 15th century. He was at the Council of Florence, where Catholics and Eastern Orthodox debated various issues like the Filioque, purgatory, the papacy, So, Eastern Thomism is a real thing, and Dr. Meinard's one of the few modern intellectuals who pushes it. Anyway, very cool guy, but he wrote a letter that he called an open letter from a Byzantine Thomist to trad Catholics. It's on 1 Peter 5. If you Google it, you'd find it. But he says something like, he wishes that trads were a little bit better at being friendly with people in the more mainstream circles. And from my perspective, you're very good at that. I think it's unfair that Gordon and people block you. Personally, even if I disagreed with you, I wouldn't block you. I think you're very charming, so I think it's their loss for whatever that's worth.
Oh, thanks. I do try to. You know who I really learned to argue from is Jim Blackburn over at Catholic Answers. Because I used to kind of like, hey, blah blah blah, and he'd answer with like 3-word responses. So he really taught me how to not throw the kitchen sink into what you're saying, but you have to be just matter of fact, because it's easy to, when you're talking about people in trad circles being mean, it's easy to go, look, you jerk, why don't you learn how to read? Can't you know all this kind of stuff? It's like, just forget all of that. Think of the main thing, and you really have to be trying for charity. But the problem is, if like I say, if you're in the abortion business and you're saying this is a baby, doesn't matter how charitable you are, you're bad, you're wrong. Like, it's like Trump derangement syndrome.
So I agree. Where I was going with that is, I think that what I would tend to recommend to people who identify with your perspective, I would tend to say, what you need to do is you need to join parish councils. You need to try really hard not to get kicked out. If that means being judicious with your words, that's probably worth it. So I think that if you're persuaded, and people who listen to you are persuaded that NFP is really the wrong direction, then I think what I would hope you guys do is try and conquer like your local parishes and start promoting like the more traditional views of things. That's sort of
an impossibility.
So you guys are institutionally blacklisted right now. Is that how you would frame things as far as your perspective goes?
Oh, you guys, meaning someone who says NFP is intrinsically evil. Yeah, you're like, it's like Holocaust denier, or the moon is made of green cheese, or there was never a moon landing, or whatever, dude. It's like just get out of here. Just no. Or Pope Leo is not really the Pope. Okay. See you later. That's nice. You gotta, what, dude, just, you have to be mainstream. So no, you cannot work with this. This is an all or nothing hill to die on. Machine gun time, so when there's a reason, that basically, other than FSSP, every priest in the diocese and the bishop and all these people, the answer is no, we're not talking to you. We're blocking your number. We're calling security. We're not talking to you. It's not, well, let's hear what you have to say and maybe we can work. The answer is zeros. Complete zero.
That's really messed up. And I don't want to be coy with you, John. Transparently, I'm not yet persuaded of the perspective you take. I'm very sympathetic to it in many respects, and maybe we can get into that a bit. But what I'm just trying to say is, I think that I wish that Catholics who were more traditionally minded, and I would include myself in that, at least on other issues, I suppose. I think that we need to be very politically savvy, because if we can't reconquer the church, we're in a really bad position. I don't know if that makes sense.
Right. Okay. Yes. God's going to have to do it. And we have to, you're called to be faithful, not necessarily successful. So. Okay.
That helps. I was hoping you'd give me your thoughts on that. People who have ears to hear will hear. Sense of the faithful. People who have the sensus fidelium will say, okay, I think that's right. Because a ton of people are walking around going, NFP is Catholic contraception, but I can't figure it out, and I don't know for sure. Maybe it's just for grave reasons, a little bit, so that when you have a hard truth, you say, well, yeah, abortion's bad, but if you're raped, it's okay. And that the Mormons are like that. Just pray with your pastor. It's cool, right? We can figure it out. So when there's a real hard topic, you mean I have to obey my husband and have 17 kids or I'm going to hell? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What part of that did you not understand? Okay. I love it.
You can't say that. So you have to say, well, so
John, I find your candor refreshing. Like, the world needs more Catholics like you. I'm absolutely convinced of that.
Great. Well, so what happens in every time, French Revolution, or pick your crisis. people rise up to say, no, we're not going with the thing. And they do it because they know it's right and they can back it up. And like it says in Pascendi, the encyclical by Pius X.
Modernist encyclical, Pascendi Domini Gregis, right?
Yeah, it says a lot of things. But it's that anyone who makes an erudite argument is immediately surrounded by a conspiracy of silence by the modernists, which is exactly what happens to me or anyone who's like, hey, this is wrong. They're like, whoa, no, you're wrong. And we're not talking. We're just conspiracy of silence. So Catholic Inc. is major conspiracy. Starting with Lila Rose or anyone else, Taylor Marshall, all those guys.
Yes, I agree with you, John. So here's what I'd say to that. I love Thomas Aquinas. You kind of have to if you're a Roman Catholic, right? He would ask any question. Like if you read his objections, if Aquinas were alive today and you asked to talk to him, he would. I know that for a fact. And one, he'd probably agree with you because he did, right? I mean, don't we have textual evidence of that? But then two, he would be willing to talk to you. He'd say, objection one, it would seem that NFP, blah, blah, blah. And he would have like all the replies and he'd think about it. That's a level of intellectual honesty. It's a level of intellectual. Need to
think about it. He'd walk around the room dictating the stuff to people who would write it down. I mean, it takes me 2 weeks to digest what he said, and he's like, boop, boop, boop.
It takes me my whole life, right, to digest a sentence. But I mean, what I just am lamenting in your story, it breaks my heart. What I'm lamenting is that you're an honest man. You were burned by the church. That's how it seems to me from the outside. I don't know your whole story, so I can't say. But it looks like you were really let down. And what are you met with? Silence, zeros. That is so wrong, And I guess, that's that. I'd like to say that much for sure.
Well, like I said, the Bible says, those who are up to no good, they want to hide out. They don't want to expose anything. They'll run away from the light. They don't want their works exposed because then they have to come clean. Okay, so there's plenty of that, and if you can dumb down the population and keep them all hooked on, give them the love drug, give them all the love they want, and don't take communion away. I'll take that. I can, I'm good with God. I'm a pretty good guy, right? I'm going to heaven, right? You got your scapular on, Christopher?
I do. I've kept that from my trad days.
Good. Oh, from your trad days? When did your trad days end? What are you talking about?
We can talk about. I'd love to. I'd be very happy to.
Quick question for you: where do you go to church now?
I go to the cathedral in my diocese.
Okay, so you go to Novus Ordo.
That's right.
All right, I go to Novus Ordo every day except Sunday. I go to FSSP, and when I go to Novus Ordo, I have earplugs. Huh?
The priests of the FSSP are wonderful. I can't say anything bad about them.
I can, truly. But they're better. They're good, but they're all NFP because they're trained that way. Pius XII said it, so it must be okay. And they're all on pins and needles with their diocesan bishop, who's edgy anyway. But privately, they'll kind of say, yeah, but
well. Hey, John, if you don't mind me directing the conversation a bit, I would love to talk more about trad stuff and like where we respectively land on that. But maybe we should just get into NFP. And
I want to talk about NFP, but real quick. So you go to Novus Ordo, okay?
That's right.
And you're a convert from what?
Oh, that's a great question.
Just give me the quick answer. What were you Zoroastrian or what?
Evangelical Protestant.
Fine. Okay. So that helps with where you're coming from. You got to know where someone's background is because everyone carries a bit of their past with them. Some of their
I definitely do.
If you're into punk rock or you're into new age or whatever, that's going to come out later. All right.
Yeah. Sure.
So, okay, evangelical, and then you've got some, your parents were a mixed bag of this and that a little bit, and you've learned some stuff.
My parents were fifth generation reorganized LDS.
Oh, so boy.
We were the second largest denomination of Mormonism. And I was sixth generation until I was 5. My parents became involved with Bill Gothard's Advanced Training Institute, and they became
I
involved.
saw him live, dude. Bill Gothard, yeah.
Wow, I'd love to hear your thoughts. That might be some point of overlap with our stories, but my parents got into him, and ATI wouldn't let my parents join their homeschool program because they homeschooled me all the way through. They wouldn't let us join their homeschool program unless they left the RLDS church. And so my parents started going to a non-denominational church that was one of John MacArthur's students was the pastor there.
Yeah.
And that's how I was raised.
Okay, so so the Mormons kind of, it's a little culty. They kind of controlled the deal a little bit. They're like, you can't be straying on this.
That's right.
Yeah. Father Ripperger pointed out in his interview with that Kyle dude, the big interview that just happened. Kyle, the ex-Marine. I don't even know who he is, but there's tons of views. He was saying, yeah, Mormons is demonic. The angel Moroni. You want to know where a demon? There they are, right there. So he kind of says it like it is. But that Mormon background, so Christopher, man, your brain has been pulled all over the place, and your little formative brain when you're 5 years old, trying to figure out so God.
Thank you. No, great. Yeah, talk to me.
God charity perfects nature. Your nature you can be perfected as long as you're open and humility.
Amen.
Realizing that everyone's got damage and stuff, but so you can be cured of everything. And if you have any attitudes which are hanging on, which is typical if you didn't, unless you grew up like in the perfect environment, which is rare, you're going to have some attitudes that are hanging on, and you want to submit those. So anyway, you converted, you got your thing. Now let's do that. And I think this is really good. Now I figure that out. You think I'm wrong about NFP in some way?
I do. Yeah. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I can sort of formulate my thoughts, and maybe you can help me, because I'm I'm here to learn from you. Seriously. I'm not here to shoot you down.
No, you can shoot me down if you want. It needs to be shot down. You got to shoot me down, or I have to shoot you down, because Catholics cannot agree to disagree.
I like your style, John. You're very winsome. So here's my thing with NFP. And if you can explain to me why I'm wrong, I will seriously rethink it. So here's my thing. I think the fact that the magisterium taught it means that it either is true or it's something that we don't have the freedom to deny unless we can absolutely prove that it's wrong. Right. And so my position is, because I told you at the beginning of our call, I don't understand the philosophy very well. I don't understand the sexual ethics very well. So I'm basically deferring to the authority.
So you converted because it's like the Pope is the pontiff, the pontoon to heaven, okay? And we need truth, and we need infallibility. So you're anchoring on that, because no infallibility, no faith.
So there is a delicate distinction here. And I'm very curious what you would say about this. I've listened to about 15 of your videos, and maybe you've addressed this somewhere, but I haven't heard you address it, and I want your help with it. So I can concede as a premise that humanae vitae is fallible. I can concede that. But my understanding is that a Roman Catholic does not have the liberty to dissent from a fallible teaching unless they can prove that it's wrong. And because I'm not good on the philosophy, I have not proven that it's wrong. So that's what I would like your help on.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? And I hope am I coming across badly, John?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Every Catholic is a Roman Catholic. An Eastern Orthodox, a Byzantine Catholic is a Roman Catholic. There's Latin Rite and there's Byzantine Rite, but they're all Catholics are Roman. Just
well put. I can concede
it's FYI. It's important to get the. Otherwise, you have this split. You've got the Eastern Rite people kind of start developing their own serious culture of laws are for the Western legalistic Romans.
Which is insane. because the
We're
Eastern
into love, bro. In the East, God is love. You take your Westy stuff out of here, and that tends to. It's like, no, Pope's to Pope everywhere on the whole planet. Sorry, it's like, hey,
you're bringing up something really good, actually. So this did not come up in my background, but I was persuaded and encouraged. Well, I was encouraged to consider becoming a Catholic by a Eastern Catholic. And I am way hard on the Eastern side of Christianity, even to this day. I would say I consider myself an Eastern Orthodox Christian who's canonically in communion with, who's canonically Roman Catholic. So that actually is not, I said earlier in our call, I believe, that I really am bad at legal theory. Like, I'm terrible at it. I don't even know where to start. So you're actually talking to my weaknesses as a Catholic thinker. So that's part of why I was really looking forward to speaking with you. I'm hoping you can help me.
Sure, just keep your questions on that. That's cool.
But yeah, that's my background, if that helps. So
basically, okay. There's so much we could talk about. We're trying to stay on focus. So you were basically saying NFP freaks me out a little bit because basically the church says it's fine. So what am I going to do with that? That's kind of what you're saying.
Sort of. I'm willing to defer to the church on it, even though I have some concerns.
Right.
If that's exactly.
So this is like I talked about spiritual whiteout earlier.
Okay. Yeah.
We're trying to get to it's how hard is it to be a Catholic? A Catholic is easy. Just do what the church says. Well, what does the church say today? Oh, wait a minute. This is why it's hang on. Come on in here, dog. That's why it's so hard. Because it's we're supposed to be able to be, like your average farmer who's missing a tooth can be Catholic, So the answer is nowadays the retail Catholicism is pretty much wrong, and you have to go with God does not change. He's the same all the time. Yes. So 100%. Therefore, we can look at faith and morals from 33 AD to today, and whatever's been taught the whole time is the faith.
That seems reasonable to me.
Yes. So yeah. Now NFP is a new. It's a modern invention. It was created out of thin air in 1951. That's when it was created. But
and your coverage of the church fathers, I didn't know Augustine directly talked about NFP. That was remarkable to me.
Yeah.
So your video on the church fathers and Thomas Aquinas, I found it very persuasive. It really does seem like they don't really leave room for NFP. That seems correct.
Course, no. This is like nature, man. Nature is babies. That's what nature is. It's called biology.
Dawkins is going to tell us that.
Biology, that's what it is.
Yeah. Right.
Marriage,
absolutely.
Biology is not charity, Christopher. You can put that on a bumper sticker. Biology is not charity, okay? But marriage is limited to biology. Marriage is legally is the legal definition of marriage is limited by biology. It's the restricted definition because procreation is limited to biology, man. And when you start saying charity is required for marriage, you are saying charity is required for nature. You are saying charity is nature, and that's why nature is whatever you want.
So then it becomes sort of, to use philosophical terms, it becomes voluntarist. So it's about your will, your voluntary will.
Yeah, I think therefore I am. Yeah.
Instead of being about the essence of things.
Right. So let me try to apply that to Humanae Vitae, or quote the Magisterium, the same. So
I'm here for your take.
So look, man, what we're doing is we're taking the southern U.S. border, which is a physical thing, and we're adding a bunch of fluff words of idealism and significance and iconography to that thing and calling that the real thing now. So it's not the physical border, it's the feeling, it's the idea, okay? So marriage is biology, but it's so much more than that, Christopher. You need to open your mind, bro. You need to expand your horizons. Marriage is so much more than biology. Oh, I guess it is. In fact, it's love. Oh, I guess we didn't know that before, but we're catching on now. We're getting smarter, baby. and the psychology has improved so much. The science has so because marriage is love now, we can do the NFP. And then we're also going to say in Humanae Vitae that this does in no way, not even a little bit, violate the moral principles, which we have just explained. The moral principles which we have just explained is marriage is a sign. Okay? That southern border that you think has a longitude and latitude and barbed wire, it's a sign, Christopher. It's not physical primarily. It's primarily a sign. So therefore, there can be exceptions to the physical if we need to, and there can be exceptions to the biology if we need to, because it's primarily a sign. So as long as we have Christ and his church in unity, okay, through the conjugal act, the purpose is secondary, Christopher. Open your mind, dude. We need to let love in the room, okay? You're so hooked on biology, law, and making your wife 17 kids or she's going to hell. You can't deal with this, man. So we have to, it's so much better. Just come with me to this new understanding. It will be so much better. You'll feel so much better. And
John, it's funny you keep saying 17 kids. That is the number of kids I wanted to have when I was a young man.
How about that?
It doesn't really seem on the table. And I got it from Jonathan Edwards. Have you heard of Jonathan Edwards? Jonathan Edwards is an incredible theologian. He's the greatest theologian in American history. He sadly wasn't a Roman Catholic, but his spirituality is very similar to Catholicism in a number of ways. I really like him. I'd love to learn more about him. But he had about 17 kids, and
that's good.
Had a really good wife. I think 6 of them died in their childhood, which was more common back then. Heartbreaking for me to contemplate. The number I've set on right now, I want to have 9 kids at least, hopefully more, but I want to have 9 kids because my wife and I don't have any ancestors who had more than 8 kids that we know of. So I kind of want to set the record.
Do your best, but of course it's God's deal, and He's created everybody has been planned from the beginning of the world.
Wow. Okay.
Awesome. This is why contraception is murder.
It's murder.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
NFP is murder.
Wow.
God's already loaded those lives into the pipeline. They're coming down the pipeline, and they're supposed to come out in the conjugal act. But you've thwarted that. You've flicked the switch on the railroad tracks from here to here. So you're playing hide the seed. You are playing hide the seed. God says, look, this is what's going to happen on this time, on this February 14th or whatever it is at 3 a.m. And now you're hiding the seed. Murder, because Council of Trent says this. Anyone who tries to prevent pregnancy is a wicked conspiracy for murder. And St. Thomas Aquinas says, I don't even know what to call it, but it's akin to murder. In other words, it's not like obvious, like physical murder, but it's metaphysical murder. God has planned this. So your 17 kids or your 9 kids or whatever, God knows how many. God's already planned it all. Yeah. So go with the flow, but realize that it's going to be hard. Because Adam and Eve ate the fruit, you got to make up for that. So you have to work, and it's going to be super hard, but you got to work. But it's good if you know what you're doing. She's got to have the 17 kids. It's going to be super hard, but it'll be good if she knows what she's doing, why she's doing it. She can't. So you can't use nature to thwart the purpose. But if the purpose is love, then as long as you're pursuing love, which is what I want, my right to be happy. That's where it comes from. Vatican II created my right to be happy. As long as you're pursuing that, don't judge. And so what NFP is it's taking the essential, you're taking what is the essence of marriage, which is the right over the body for acts suitable for the generation of children, and you're making them suitable for the generation of love. Because NFP says life-giving love. Hello, Scott Hahn. So that's all that theology of the body is.
Okay.
It's saying we're going to use not 5 words, but 500,000 words to make procreation secondary. And we're going to do it. We're going to make it sound really good. So, Christopher, you're going to choke on all these words, trying to find the deep meaning of the profundity, and we're going to bring in a little Dietrich von Hildebrand to help us out. And who are you to talk to Dietrich? Okay. He knows what's up. And so we're going to bring a lot of love into the room. And if you oppose us, if you can't handle it, you need to grow. And who can fight John Paul II, JP2, we love you. Heck, I saw him like 2 or 3 times. He was like the man. It was like so cool. World Youth Day. Woohoo. You can't, that's why they do that stuff too. Remember when Obama got elected, he had the gigantic meeting in Chicago. Everyone showed up.
Oh, that's interesting.
He had a huge, he were like talking, he got 500,000 or 1 million people to show up at the park when he was elected. So a lot of this, World Youth Day should be like cut out completely. If I were Pope, I would probably just do my stuff in writing. That's it. Just kind of like, hey, just less, just woo. There's some politics you got to be, but really be careful what you say. But anyway, they do a lot of political capital and keep the whole thing going. So it's a house of cards. Now, the magisterium is another one of those sort of weasel words.
I agree.
Magisterium means infallible. Yeah. It means infallible, or it doesn't mean anything. It's like, so
that's your position.
What?
Just to be clear, is that your position? Okay.
If when you're talking about if something need to be obeyed, it's like, even I don't exactly know what I'm talking about. It's magisterium ordinary, extraordinary. How do you get infallibility? You can't just throw the M word around and that just neutralizes everything. It's magisterial, so get out. It's like,
yeah, okay. So extraordinary is just the councils, right? And then ordinary would be things that are believed but not held by the council. Am I getting that right?
I'm not exactly sure. Extraordinary, I think, is like, from the chair of Peter.
This is homoousion. Like, that would be extraordinary, right? I would think so.
You and your big words, man. You gotta dumb it down for me.
No problem. It's not super necessary.
I'm saying that the church has 3 legs that are infallible: Scripture, tradition, Scripture, tradition, and magisterium. Those are the 3 legs of infallibility. So
sure.
So when you start saying, well, NFP is magisterium, it's magisterial, therefore that's what everyone thinks or says. We got to go with it because
it's infallible. I think Paul VI said he thought it was, but that was just his opinion. And popes are not infallible.
Paul VI said he thought what was.
Doesn't he claim in his opening statement for Humanae Vitae that what he's saying belongs to the ordinary infallible magisterium? Am I getting that wrong? That doesn't mean it does. But that is what he says, So to clarify a couple of things, what I'm trying to say, so my position does not entail that Humanae Vitae is infallible. I actually am sympathetic to the perspective.
Yeah, Wikipedia, man. It's not every encyclical is not guaranteed infallible.
Right. So exactly. So for me, my understanding is that when the magisterium says something that could be fallible, you still have to go with it unless you can prove it's wrong, and that's where I'm stuck.
Yes. Right. So you have to look at. There's a lot of wordsmithing and stuff. Just like, okay, is it magisterial that adultery is cool now? Is that magisterial? Okay, well, the Pope said it. It's in the Acta. It's in Amoris Laetitia. Adultery is God's will. Adultery is good. You can go to heaven and go and be an adulterer. That's what he's saying. Is that magisterial? Wait a minute. We got to back up, and you have to look.
Sorry. Yeah.
This is where we go back to the whiteout, dude. It's like, hey,
okay, yeah.
What is we got to find the guardrails and the road underneath all the snow. You have to do some digging. You can't trust everybody anymore. It's all whiteout, man. Like, find it. You got the internet. Okay. Do you want the truth, or do you want to? It's easy to just drive in the white, and I'm fine because I'm not doing anything illegal. You got to know what the law is. You're going to have to dig through the bottom of that permafrost and find it. So when the Pope says you can go to communion with adultery, is he right? No, he's wrong, but he's saying this because if marriage is love, there's nothing you can say. That means trans is love, adultery is love, fornication is love. There's no more. All sin goes away, which is why that's why the Dubia brothers went to Pope Francis. Like, is there any such thing as objective sin? That was one of their questions, basically, and they never got answered because there's nothing. You can't have objective anymore. I guess
So maybe if I comment on a Morris, it'll help give you a sense of how I approach things, and then you can help show me where I'm wrong. Does that work for you, John?
Go ahead.
So with a Morris, the way I take it is we can distinguish a couple of things. So if he means that people who are committing adultery can have communion, if you interpret that to mean that it's possible in theory someone has committed adultery without the necessary level of knowledge and consent, then maybe if they were to commune, it wouldn't be in a state of objective mortal sin. But if he means that blanket people who commit adultery can receive the Eucharist without pain of mortal sin, I think we would have to say tradition and philosophy have proven that that's incorrect. So that would be a case where we can dissent from the fallible magisterium on the grounds we've proven that it's wrong.
All right, Christopher, let me help you out.
Tell me out. Yes,
it's real simple. You have to kind of get rid of your Eastern Orthodox thinking to the max on stuff.
Okay, sure.
Here, 2 words: manifest sin.
Okay. Tell me.
That means you can see it. That means it's objective. Okay. If I throw a rock through the window, that was a manifest act. Whether I was guilty of mortal sin for doing that is another question. But the glass breaking and the rock through the window, that was manifest. That's like objective. Okay. You can't deny what happened. So I didn't know it was wrong. Maybe that's correct. But manifest sin is what it is, which is why the Dubia brothers asked Pope Francis, is there such thing as objective sin? Because Pope Francis is saying adultery is not an objective sin. And the reason why it's not objective is because marriage is a unity, Chris. Marriage is love, and love has no definition. So rock, broken glass, window, those are signs of a deeper truth, but it's not, you can't really say that this is actually happening.
Oh, really? Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So the just because I'm doing a video coming out because my wife she's getting married to some guy in the apparently in the church, and the bishops are all into it, and the wedding is coming up, I think May 23rd, I believe it is.
I'm sorry, John.
It's a violation of nature. It's a fake annulment. Now you have basically it's just adultery. It's just Catholic adultery. It's all it is. It's all happening in the church, and of course, none of the priests will talk. No one will allow anything. It's all like quiet, and even the case is still going at the signatura. You know what the signatura is?
I know nothing.
That is the Supreme Court of the Church. It's right under the Pope. You got the Roman Rota, then the signatura, then the Pope. So they're still trying to decide if they're going to redo the whole thing because it's all rubber stamped Pope Francis weirdness. And they're still trying to decide if they've already more or less decided they're going to, but they haven't made it official yet. Meanwhile, the remarriage is going to go on. So because love has no contractual import, my wife can say divorce isn't a sin, and the priest will keep giving her communion. So I see her at daily mass every day. She and I go up to communion together, and one of us isn't going to heaven, right? Because someone committed the sin of divorce. Either I was a terrible guy and I'm really bad, or she did the sin of divorce and she's really bad. So, but if everyone goes to communion, divorce is not a sin automatically. Manifest. Like I said, Christopher, manifest. So,
now, John, if you don't mind me asking for clarity from you on this, so is what you're saying that manifest sin is equivalent to mortal sin?
No.
Okay, just check.
Yeah, no, you got to get this down. This is why no one's talking about this anymore. Even if you look at Wikipedia, manifest sin in Canon 915, they keep changing the definition. To
really?
It's not no. Yes. Because of the NFP and the annulments, you cannot have manifest sin anymore. It has to be notorious. So they're saying, okay, yeah, like Joe Biden, notorious sinner, right? Joe Biden, you can't give him communion, notorious sinner. Manifest has nothing to do with notoriety. It means you can sin it, you can see it. So if one person saw The Rock go through the window, it's manifest. It doesn't matter if it's front page news or not. It's like it just is what. So if everyone knows about your divorce or nobody does except you, it's still manifest. So
I see. This is making sense.
The Catholic Church teaches today that, especially in the USA, from the Third Council of Baltimore, if you divorce without the bishop's permission, you incur the guilt of grave sin. It doesn't say you've committed a mortal sin or you've committed you have incurred the guilt of grave sin, which is manifest objective. You may be innocent as the wind-driven snow. You may have thrown that rock for an innocent reason, but objectively, you broke someone's window. Whether your reasons, so until we judge, what?
So it's good. I like this because manifest means that we can tell what happened and we can act accordingly.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a big part of what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense to me, is that if we get rid of the manifest sin functionally in the law of the church, we can't hold anyone accountable for anything. Is that kind of what you're
everyone in the manosphere likes to say? Women aren't being held accountable. They say that women aren't being. Pearl Davis says that all the time. Women aren't being held accountable. So if your wife takes your kids, gets a boyfriend, makes you pay for it, and kicks you out of the house, and the police come and they say, hey, he's got to leave because she doesn't like him anymore. Now, who's going to hold her accountable, Christopher?
In our system, as far as I can tell, nobody.
What about your good bishop? What will your good bishop say?
I hate to say this publicly, but I guess I am skeptical. I wonder. I'm not sure he would help me in that situation.
His hands would be tied because he thinks NFP is nature, and the reason his hands are tied, if NFP is nature, then marriage, then love is nature, and love has no objective definition. So your wife has violated nothing. So you have no appeal to the church because the church handles spiritual things. The church handles sin. And you can't accuse her of doing anything spiritual or sinful because that is between her and God, and everything is a mere civil effect. So she's going to take your kids and turn them Mormon again, and she's going to remarry in the Mormon church because they're really hip to that stuff, and you're going to like it, and you're going to accept it. Now, yes, we all have to accept our cross, but at the same time, we're supposed to be able to have justice because we consented to a contract. That is a legal act with justice, and you have to have a guarantor of said rights. And that guarantor in the church is the bishop. Your guy who you like over there is the guarantee of your marriage rights. But when you say, hey, my rights are being violated, he'll say, what rights? Oh, the right to educate my kids. Well, that all falls under the umbrella of love. Love is the foundation of the marriage. The legal foundation is love. So it's called the law of love. Therefore, there's nothing to object to. Get a marriage counselor, pray, speak her love language, lay down your life a lot more, Christopher, because obviously you're an abusive, narcissist, selfish person, and she wanted you to cut your hair and you wouldn't do it. And look what it cost you. I think you need some serious reflection, and I think you need to work on your anger, Christopher, and your divisiveness, because unity is what she needs. She's crying out for unity, and you won't give it to her. Has your wife ever disagreed with you, had a little argument? If you were, accused you of being like patriarchal, or you're trying to wear the pants, or you're not. You're trying to make a decision on what color we're going to paint the stairway or something, and you're not giving in, or you're saying we have all this perfectly good white paint right here, and you want to go buy, 16th century puce, which costs $89 a gallon, and we have tons of perfect white.
So
Here.
real.
We're painting it white.
Uh-huh.
No. I'm sorry. You know what? Marital debt is unity, Christopher. I'm not feeling the unity, and we have to have unity because marriage is life-giving love, foundationally love. Remember our telos? It's love. It's not life. It's love. God is love. Marriage is love. Nature is love. Nothing you can say. You have rights in the church? Think again. You don't have any rights. This is why no fault divorce is now Catholic. No fault. Because no contract, no rights, no fault, no justice, no problem, nothing there. So this is the la land. Everyone's in, but they're all addicted to NFP for political or other reasons. Therefore, they have to perpetuate it. We all want Democrats to win because we love abortion. So we're going to tolerate open borders, which is going to make our country go away. But you know what? We're so addicted to abortion. It's the way it is. We're so addicted to our NFP and our everything that comes with it. We can't surmount the overwhelming whiteout of misinformation that we're just going to go with it.
So along those lines, John, I can honestly say that I don't think I hold an FP consciously for political reasons. So I guess what I'd like your feedback on is, what do you think are the 3 easiest ways for an average Joe Catholic like me to come to the recognition that NFP is wrong? If I'm asking you, what are 3 ways I can recognize that and be honest about it before God and nature?
Okay, well, people know, like I said, people know that you just try to put all the politics aside, all the all the
I agree. The politics stuff is so annoying.
What the Catholic Church teaches, because naturally we're Catholics, we want to go with what the Catholic Church teaches. So
yes, I'm with you there, John.
Yeah, so that kind of puts it in. I always tell my kids, it's like you believe first and understand later in humility. Okay, so look, I'm just going to believe Humanae Vitae first and understand later. Okay, well, wait a minute.
That's pretty much what I'm doing. Yeah.
Trust but verify. So you got to look at what they're saying.
Okay, sure.
And so we're going to, and here's my premise. NFP violates nature. Okay. So how can we follow the church if the church is violating nature? You can't. So this is the trick. This is the hard part, because you're trying to be a faithful Catholic and a humble Catholic and an obedient Catholic at the same time. So look at the art. Just fine. Don't be willing to jump ship or just go sede or whatever you're going to do. Just breathe in. Look at what's going on. Increase and multiply is what God said in the Bible. He gave this command to the fish, the birds, and the people, and Adam. Increase and multiply. So he took something as, like, for example, if I wave this pen, nothing happens. But if God says, when you wave the pen, you will increase and multiply, he created a blessing for doing this. So what used to be just a thing is now, this is how you reproduce, because God said, he put it into that thing. Same with, if you put your hand in your mouth, you don't get pregnant, but other things happen, you get pregnant. Okay. So it's like, so God gave this blessing to this act. This is what he did. There's answer number 1. It's nature. I think everyone would agree with that. It's also...
Can we talk about nature for a bit, or would you like to proceed to other?
I was going to try to get 2 and 3, but write down what you're going to ask.
Yeah. I'll talk to you after that. Sounds good. I'm ready.
So increase and multiply was a command. You had to do it. You had to increase and multiply because there was no people around. You had to subdue the earth, fill the earth. Okay. Then after, in the New Testament, that was no longer binding because celibacy is better. St. Paul said it's better. So celibacy is now the default. But as a remedy of concupiscence, you can get married, but you don't have to reproduce anymore. It's no longer binding, as St. Thomas Aquinas says. And also in the Douay Rheims commentary, it says that as Protestant, that you have, because Protestants don't have celibacy. They don't have the...
Right? Is what you're talking about. There is no duty to procreate. in the new covenant. Is that right? Or the
Right.
New Testament?
No duty. You don't have to consummate your marriage. You can be Josephite marriage. You don't have to exercise your marital rights. You don't have to have any kids. But most people kind of do. Kind of like, you don't have to eat dinner, Christopher, but you probably are gonna. You don't have to fast for a week. You don't have to eat for a week if you don't, but yeah, you're gonna. Okay. If you're married, things are gonna happen. Hello. But if you're gonna eat, you can't put the banana in your ear and call it cool. You gotta eat the banana, right? So you're gonna do nature. Now, nature has that purpose. Okay. So I think you're
number one, nature, and then number two.
Number two is there's no duty to procreate, which means there are no exceptions to using nature to not procreate. Because if you have a duty, this is the basis of all contraception and NFP. If you have a duty to procreate, then there can be exceptions to that. Kind of like you have a duty to attend mass. Okay. Unless UFOs took over your neighborhood that night, you can't get to church the next day, or something happens. You can't. There are exceptions. Right. There are exceptions, legitimate exceptions, but so once we take marriage and divorce it from nature, you can have exceptions, and just like now, you can have an exception for anything that violates nature. You can have an exception for increase and multiply. And let me see if I can think of the third objection to NFP. I guess you could say fathers? What?
Would it be like the church fathers and Thomas Aquinas?
Oh yeah. It's hey, two men getting married has never been condemned openly by the church. Okay.
Really?
Of course not. It's never been condemned, and neither has two men and a porcupine ever been condemned by the church. Okay. But
I guess not.
But
yeah.
It's like, we don't have to condemn everything. It's like, so NFP is condemned because procreation is primary. Okay. And those words mean procreation is primary, mean things. It doesn't mean whatever you want it to mean. It means something. And that means that nothing else is essential. Like I said, biology only. Christopher West should, that theology of the body should be rewritten and just called the biology of the body. Or it's just like, that's all it is. It's all it is, man. The theology of the pizza. We get such deep spiritual meaning out of our pepperoni pizza. It's like, because what goes into your mouth and out the latrine is so deep and biblical. We need to get really into that. There's so much more. Pizza is not just calories. It's so much more. We know so much more about pizza today. So we have to expand. Therefore, we can eat 10 pizzas and pursue God through. It's like so dumb. Okay. Now, let me think of a third objection. Okay, well, just nature, people like, who is it? Laura Horn. Maybe you've heard me say this, too far with Laura Horn. She's funny, man. But she's very deep. When you want to get together, you can't because of NFP. And when you don't want to get together, you have to because of NFP. So nature is like, look, this is the hormones, the everything is, we want this to happen to produce the baby. So if you're working against nature, it's like now you've created, this is part of why the NFP wives feel like prostitutes, because they're like, I'm not into this. What are you doing this for? It creates so many problems in the marriage, but there's so much spin on it that it's all good, so that would be another, this is why the husband, the husbands like it because they think they're keeping the wives happy. Husbands hate NFP. You meet a few guys who are really weird and they don't want any more kids or something, but husbands hate it because the wife likes it, and the wife wants it because she doesn't want to have the 17 kids, so she puts up with it. So everyone's pretending it's good, and they're putting all this spin. I love fasting. Fasting is helps me feel so free. Dude, you're starving to death and you're grumpy and you can't move because you're too tired. Oh, I really love this feeling. It's so good for me. I'm feeling so healed. Yeah, really? Tell me more. It's like, so.
Yeah, and I have to be transparent with you, John. I mean, my wife and I, neither of us want to use NFP. We haven't used it in like years. And I don't think we're going to in the future. It's just, to your point, why would you?
Well, you would, because when she starts, when your wife hits a certain age or whatever, she starts feeling differently, and women do feel differently over time. And those feelings rule the roost pretty much, unless they're countered with the guardrails. Then people ask for grace to live within those guardrails. They take over, dude. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, not a man scorned. Okay. So women will blow through. They're like a bull in Walmart that's mad. Ain't nothing going to remain standing. You can't do anything. That bull is going to take over. And what are you going to say? This isn't magisterial. Oh, forget you, man. Boom. So, and it takes over. When the bull was little and you could manage the thing, fine, but you let it grow and now it's huge. What are you going to do? Simp. That's what I thought. Get back in your corner and no one gets hurt. But you're going to get hurt anyway because I don't like simps. So I'm getting a new one. You have to, it's kill or be killed in a way. Just like St. Robert Bellarmine said in that book, The Art of Dying Well. He's like, men need to know how to kind of control their wives these days. If the fault is theirs, if they don't. So NFP says, NFP is basically marriage for simps. Being a simp is your goal, because unity, she will take that and she will turn into, you ever seen that movie from the 80s, Little Shop of Horrors, that the little plant grows up and gets big and eats people?
Oh yeah. Being homeschooled, John, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen.
All right. It's an illustrative of what happens, I guess, when you don't, like when you don't follow the advice of Devo. When a problem comes along, you must whip it. You let it go. Okay. And then the thing grows. So now you have, if you're told that marriage is love, you keep throwing more love at the problem and the thing just grows. And so to answer your question, the third problem with NFP is you are not, your wife is going to turn into she will statistically to something you can't control anymore. Whereas before you could keep it all on the reservation, but when you let it go, it takes on a life of its own and you can't stop it. Just like the homos in San Francisco, or the pro-aborts, or the BLM riots, or those they're or the people protesting ICE. They're like unstoppable. They're like, no, I'm not going to listen to her. You ever interviewed or talked to someone in Antifa? They're nuts. They're nuts.
Have you?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I was doing I was picketing Bill Clinton in 92, or think about some abortion stuff, and the Antifa people were there. They're like, I think they were ACT UP, actually. I think it was ACT UP, but they're just like bananas, like no brain there, like all animal, dude. Wow. So this stuff gets going, and they're not going to listen to, the one thing, this way you want to marry someone's Catholic, they understand that they get off the reservation, they violate the terms of the contract, they're going to go to hell. And hell is real, and yes, we're not going to live forever. So if they have that in their mind, they're like, okay, I have to do what the church says. I have to listen to my husband. He's saying this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going. So, but if Eve was told, you can eat the fruit for grave cause, she's going to find that grave cause, dude, and then it's going to take over. And now she's like, Adam, come along. Look, I'm doing this. God said it's fine. Who are you to judge? What are you doing? Look, it's right here. It's in writing. It's like it doesn't violate the sign. It's like it's not really eating. It's like it's for grave. That's what's happening. Now, maybe I didn't persuade you yet, so you got to tell me why you still think NFP is not intrinsically evil.
Yeah. So I guess I wrote down the three things you said. Nature says NFP is wrong, no duty to procreate, so no exceptions. And the third thing was that if a spouse is given NFP, they'll sort of use it as an opening and they'll exploit it and kind of go off the rails, and it could lead to like a civil divorce or something.
Well, it's just it's exactly the same as the warnings against contraception. How that objectifies people, how that destroys marriage, and that NFP does the exact same thing as artificial contraception. But no one's allowed to say that. No one does say it, but it's only obvious.
So it objectifies the spouse.
Well,
we would say
there's that, but you have a right to the object, dude. So in a way, you have a right to objectify your spouse. You in charity. Aquinas says charity. Listen. Aquinas says charity perfects nature. So you have a right to your spouse's body.
Okay.
But you have an obligation to charity as well. So
that's well put. I agree, I think.
But you do not have a right to charity. Your spouse doesn't have a right to, but NFP says, no, you have a right to charity. So because the telos of our act is not procreation, it's charity. Charity is number one. Charity is the greatest. God is love. Are you denying that? That's what I thought. Charity is number one. So that's our telos. And I have a right to that. I have a legal right to that because marriage is a legal contract of nature. So law, nature, rights, love, and therefore you can't objectify. No. There's so the object is not love. The object is the body. So you're using that object, but you have to bring in charity if you want to go to heaven because God's in charge of the charity, not the bishop. You can't you can't bring your wife to ecclesiastical court for lack of charity because you have no right to charity. That's between you and God and her. That's just like, subjective. He was mean to me. I'm going to sue you for being mean. Can't do it.
This is actually really helpful. These distinctions you're drawing.
Yeah. So it's not made anymore because the politics are so heavy. If you say NFP is intrinsic evil, you have no life, no future, no friends, no talk about Catholic gang. Get out of here. You got nothing, zeros. So anybody who says any of this stuff is automatically out of everything. You can't get in the door. You can't even get anywhere near the door. Therefore, that's why I was like jumping up and down every time I hear Michael Knowles saying something similar. I try to get the memo to him because if he, but he's Catholic, so it's hard for him to see it. It's tough. He has that book, Speechless, Controlling Words, Controlling Minds. Do you ever listen to Michael Knowles?
My wife loves Daily Wire, and I overhear it a lot when she listens.
I just like Michael Knowles. Daily Wire is okay. I know there's a whole thing.
I know that on NFP, Knowles and Father Pine are objectionable to you, but his interview with Father Pine was very good. Did you hear that one?
Yeah, I've talked to Father Pine. Father Pine does not like me. I actually got him on the phone because I did the interview. I did a video about Father Pine, and then he gets on Lila Rose show and he says, "Hey, this guy's doing this interview about me. This guy's doing this anti-Father Pine thing with NFP, saying it's homo 101."
You were just calling him out on an issue that you think he's wrong on.
Yeah.
Right?
So I was like, Father, it took me forever to get him on the phone or even text. And he basically says, he ran out the clock. He just talks, but he won't really answer. So I email him. He won't really answer. He tries, but he'll throw out a bunch more stuff. He can't answer it. These guys have nothing, but Father Pine is not dumb. He has a lot of wisdom.
You're very clear about that in your video. You were very respectful to him. I did listen to that video.
And I tried. It's easy to. You have to be careful because it's easy to sort of get mad at people or say you're a big stupid or it's like no. Hey,
sure, yeah.
You don't want any on Judgment Day. You don't want any nothing towards anybody else. Who are you? You've offended God, and you're going to be offended by someone else offending you. Get out of here. It's like. No,
I love that. That's great.
And everyone's messed up. Everyone has problems. Everyone says things wrong. I have to go back sometimes. Like I didn't get that. By the way, speaking of errors, so Saint Alphonsus differs from Saint Thomas Aquinas just a tiny bit on the purpose of the conjugal act.
Really?
I'm reading. because it's all been in Latin forever. No one's been able to read St. Al because it's been in Latin. It's still in Latin, but we've been digging through his gigantic amount of stuff and finding the Latin and using AI to fix it. English, make it English. Yeah, and he's kind of saying that because you can marry, the remedy of concupiscence is a legitimate reason to marry, so that you can pursue. So it's not a sin to pursue remedy of concupiscence. That is his point. Whereas Aquinas will say it's at least a venial sin because you're not pursuing procreation.
Right. Yes, that's
all of them are in agreement that NFP is wrong because you are using a method to not pursue the natural telos. Okay, but
sure.
So it's splitting hairs a little bit, but
yeah,
this is I think why Saint Al is known as a little more liberal or easygoing, because Aquinas is pretty hardcore. But then there's St. Francis de Sales, which kind of agrees with Aquinas. The point I want to make sure is,
what's your point?
Sorry, I got to finish this real quick. What happens in modernism is everyone says, well, Augustine has this view, and then it evolved to Aquinas has this view, and then Augustine has this view, and you have that view. Marriage is evolving, and our understanding of it, it's a bunch of baloney, okay? Because nature is not on a continuum of understanding. You jump off a building 500 years ago, it's going to have the same effect as today. No difference.
So let me ask you this. If we say, if I were to say, well, Aquinas and Augustine are very good theologians, their thoughts need to be given considerable deference and weight. However, when it came time for a bishop of Rome to talk on an issue in a clear manner, he says that it's okay. So although their opinions...
So what do you do with that? Pope versus Aquinas, what do you do with that?
Yes, because right now, let me tell you where I'm at so you can help me. I think that I should go with the Bishop of Rome. So help me understand why is that about? Why.
Because the Bishop of Rome cannot say two guys and a porcupine can get married.
That's it. Okay, awesome. I'll write that down.
He might say it, but it can't. It has no weight. He can't. So what happened to Pius XII? Pius XII was really good once upon a time, and then just like Archbishop Fulton Sheen was pretty good, and then Archbishop Fulton Sheen got weird.
Really?
Oh yeah, he turned into Teilhard de Chardin, man. In the end,
that's crazy.
Yeah, Sheen was really good, and then he started getting kind of Now Pius XII was really good, and then the modernism started creeping in, and he caved in some ways he started redefining the some of the books of the math. Vatican II changes kind of started with Pius XII in little bits.
Really?
He moved the needle. He broke loose the edifice a little bit, and then it moved a little more. But guys like Stein know this stuff. So
Dr. Stein is very sharp. He's a great guy.
So Pius XII isn't like Piers the Wind Driven Snow. So the Sedes are a little bit messed. They get a little bit weird on this because they think he's so cool. Anyway, Pius XII comes out in 1944 and says, procreation primary, no Christopher West. You cannot say that the perfection of marriage is number one, or that secondary ends are essential in any way. They are subordinate. They are dependent. Procreation alone is independent. I'm Pius XII. This is the thing. We've said this with the Holy Office. There you go. 1944, procreation primary. Everyone else, get the heck out of here. Very good. Very good. Now Margaret Sanger shows up and she says, no, procreation is secondary. Love is number one. Then you have Dietrich von Hildebrand, the father of gay marriage, saying, no, love is really important. And then he like mixes it all up in a love and responsibility kind of way. There's love stuff. Then Pius XII is like, well, I'm facing massive political pressure. The world is being overpopulated. Everyone wants contraception. Everyone else is doing it. Isn't there some way we can create a little bit of give somehow? Well, let's call it natural fit. We'll say, look, for extreme circumstances, just like abortion, for extreme circumstances, just like contraception in the state, only for married couples, So, and the same with contraception with with 1930 Lambeth Anglicans for extreme circumstances, for grave cause. By the way, the Lambeth Anglican contraception document is almost word for word Humanae Vitae. Humanae Vitae plagiarized. If you look at what HV says, and if you look at the Anglicans, they like took their, I've done a meme about this. It's like word for word Anglican. They just switched, it's plagiarized. You know, for grave reason, we follow God's principles and we do our best to follow our conscience. I could show it to you. Now, I'll look into that. I forgot where I was going with this. We're talking about Pius XII. Pius XII and his grave reasons.
So I think I see what you're saying. So what you're saying is, if the Bishop of Rome can't change nature, so it's really hinging on the nature stuff, right?
Hello.
So let me ask you this.
Exactly right. He can't say procreation is not primary, and that's all he is saying. That's all he's saying.
Okay, so let me ask you this. There is no duty to procreate. So premise 1. Premise 2, if we're not using an FP, we can sleep with our spouses knowing that sometimes, if we're the man, we know sometimes she will not be fertile. So we can sleep with her when she's not fertile. And then, since there is no duty to procreate, abstinence to avoid conception is legitimate. To me, John, it kind of seems like NFP is just combining those three. So wouldn't it be natural then? Can you help me understand why those three?
It's not natural because you are not, NFP is not abstinence. NFP is repurposed indulgence.
Okay. So from your perspective, the issue is you cannot combine those three without violating nature. If you combine these three, you violated nature. But if you do any one of them,
I wouldn't put it that. You have to be careful how you put it because it gets
help me out.
Listen. If you are manipulating nature to get a desired outcome, you're going to hell.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'll write that down.
That's what Onan did. You time it. If you're trying to play hide the egg like Easter,
yes, right.
You're playing hide the egg. I don't care how you try to keep seed and egg separate. I don't care how you do it. Okay. If that's your primary purpose, that's your goal, you're in big trouble because you're taking God and everybody he knew from before he formed you in his mother's womb. He knew you. The plan from the beginning of the universe. You're taking that and you're like, no. So this is why they say in Tobias, it's like people don't pursue God. They pursue, they're taking God out of it. And they're pursuing their flesh. So God gives them over to the devil, the horse and mule. This is why and I think it was Freud who said, when you disconnect procreation from the conjugal act, I forgot what he said, something like you let in complete chaos or whatever. Because once you start giving people conjugal act number 1 for its own sake, Katie, bar the door. You're unleashing this thing that can't be controlled. Go up to a pride march and tell them it's wrong. They'll eventually burn you alive. This is why there's leftist violence, because they don't say, well, God doesn't, I would kill this person, but it would be wrong if I did. No, there ain't no wrong because they're gone, dude. It's like, this is why the United States will fail. It's only made for a religious people, So we can have a constitution about God with no pope as long as everyone's pretty chill. But you take it to its logical conclusion. It's like, yeah, my God says you are my enemy. And I'm following, in God we trust says I'm killing you. Because that's what my God says. So who are you to judge? So America is like, that's why they say you're either going to become atheist or you're going to become Catholic. America's you can't hang out forever. So this thing about marriage being love, marriage is going to die, or we're going to define it. We're going to realign it with nature. So nothing has changed, but just because the Supreme Court says 2 guys can get married doesn't mean it's right. And the Supreme Court has to fix itself. Now, a pope has to come out and say, actually Humanae Vitae was only talking about the sign of marriage, but not the biology. So we're going to straighten that out. Okay. People ran with this noise, just like who was it? Anthony Kennedy, Chief Justice, says the essence of liberty is in the mystery of human life is to make up your own essence of make up liberty is for you. It's your private conscience. That's what liberty is. That's all that's going on with Humanae Vitae and NFP. The essence of nature is your personal judgment. This is why Pius X, Pius XI in Humanae Vitae said,
You mean Casti Connubii for our listeners?
Pardon me. Thank you. Casti Connubii.
Yeah, that's a great.
He said, no reason, however grave, because everyone knew that, look, I have grave reasons. I got to have the conjugal act, but I can't have a baby for these grave reasons. He's like, no reason, however grave. Pius XII comes in and says, we're going to airbrush that out and write grave reasons instead. He's just violating nature in fancy language, and everyone's sympathetic. And they're like, okay, we can do a little teeny bit of abortion. Hillary Clinton says she wants abortion safe, legal, and rare. Pius XII says he wants NFP, safe, legal, and rare. And so we're going to do a little of it. And then about 5 minutes later, it became the love industry. Now you have Gregory Popchak saying, you know, for better, forever, use NFP all the time and discern all the time while you're helping discern. So the default is now the new paganism. The conjugal act is for love because love is our new telos, life-giving love, baby. Sometimes the telos gives life. Sometimes it doesn't. No. It's a life-giving contract. No love in the room. Zero love in the contract. Zero. Is that what you're going to say, Christopher? Are you going to say marriage has no love in it? Is that what Christopher, this isn't going to work out, man. You can't go to your friends from Steubenville will disown you. No, marriage is love. Love is important. Love is essential. Got to define that word. So there's a bunch of words that aren't being defined correctly or they fill in the blank. Like I say in the videos, unity means whatever you want it to mean. Bond means whatever you want it to mean. Union, covenant, whatever you want. So marriage is a love bond covenant. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, hey, you're violating my love bond covenant. Well, I think you need to speak my love language. No. We need to find somewhere in the middle. So you got the bull in Walmart going nuts, and you got the manager of Walmart. So we need to get some unity here. And the bull's like, just like Antifa says, send the cops out of here and we'll be fine. You want unity? Get the cops out. They're the cause of the conflict. Get them out. Everything's cool. Okay. So you want unity in your marriage? The wife says, get this pharisaical nature / no NFP stuff out of here and we'll be just fine. Do you want to cause World War III, Christopher? Is that what you want? Because there's a lot of little kids here in the room and you got a lot of money and we're working on and I'm in the house with you. I hold all the cards. I can call the bishop at any time and get the annulment and the divorce. I can call the state at any time and take the kids. What's your plan? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, now get back to work. Get back to work. I'll let you know if things change, chump. What are you going to do now?
I was going to say my backup plan is join the Jesuits.
Oh, yeah, they'd love you might not even work for that. I think you might get too red pilled for them at that point. But it's too late. So this is why I'm trying to tell the kiddies out there, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm going to be 60 in August. Okay. So I'm trying, like I said, I'm trying to retire so I can not spend so much time working so I can say some stuff. But it's given me time to develop it and think what I'm, because I can't just open my mouth and start saying things unless I know what I'm talking about and can back it up. And it takes time. You got to research it and think. And sometimes stuff can happen, you know. St. Thomas Aquinas was like bam, bam, bam. The rest of us take years. Like, crawling, stumbling around. What is this stupid stuff? I don't know. And I was trying to read some Alphonsus last night. It's like, it's hard trying to. So that's why I'm not like come out with it yet. But I know that St. Alphonsus, they agree that you can't have Alphonsus and Aquinas disagree on something of consequence. That doesn't work. It just doesn't work. No way, dude. Aquinas is the man. Alphonsus is the man. They can't mess that up. So, but on areas where they are allowed, there is a little bit. So that whole thing about, after menopause, is it always a venial sin? I think Aquinas or Alphonsus would say, not not for a remedy of concupiscence. Anything's a venial sin if it's just for pleasure. But if you can't hang on, that's a legitimate, and it is legal. So I have to think about that, write it all down, and make sure it's all kind of straight before I start. But I was just going with Aquinas, and at any rate, the default is celibacy. The default because the conjugal act is fornication. It's always wrong, unless it's excused by the goods, procreation and education. It's fornication. You go to hell for using your conjugal act for fornication, for not pursuing procreation. And if you're pursuing it for a remedy of concupiscence, don't you dare do anything to mess up God's providence from the beginning of the world. You're going to tell God, no, detour. We know so much more now. It's Gnosticism. I'll stop talking.
Hey, I hate to cut you off, John. Yeah, we've been talking about 2 hours. I am delighted you made time to speak with me for 2 hours of your Saturday. Thank you so much. I think the last thing I want to leave you with is I think you'd be great in stand-up comedy. You're one of the most entertaining people I've ever.
It only works when I don't have to perform. When it used to get me up front of the stage, I'm like, oh shoot. When I start my videos, I'm self-conscious and I'm like, what are you going to say? So I don't it takes me a while to get rolling. Okay. That's why I like to do more interviews or to talk, because to just go online, you're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, action. You're like, the first 10 seconds, you better say something, because 80% of the people are going to click off if you don't say something good. So it's tricky to be genuine and effective at the same time. But anyway, that's good. I'm glad if you ever want to do round 2, that's cool. But
I had a great time. Maybe that'll have to happen. It probably won't be anytime soon, just due to my schedule. And I guess one more thing I'd like to say before I stop recording in a moment here, and I'll let you say any closing thoughts you have as well.
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to wet my pants, so I want you to push pause, and I'll be right back, and then you can formulate that question, okay? So just push pause. Don't push the wrong button. I'll be back in a sec. Hang on.
Yeah, so what I wanted to ask or comment, I guess, is the last thing from me, and then I would love any closing thoughts from you, John. I guess 2 things, actually. One, I'm going to send you a recording of this. I would appreciate it. I think it would be best if you put this on your channel.
Yeah.
I love your intros and your outros. Will you please come up with something you think would be fitting? I have
we'll have to get Nirvana on there somehow, and then who knows what all else.
I have no ego, so you can just roast me as much as you want. I'm not going to block you like Tim Gordon. That's not how I roll.
Okay.
Just keep it above the belt, maybe.
But I'm with you there. I'm totally.
So I'd love for you to do that, if you don't mind. Seriously, I have no ego. Don't worry about it. And then will you just maybe pray? It's the Feast of Aquinas in the Tridentine Rite. Would you be willing to offer at least one prayer sometime that Aquinas will give me his wisdom on the NFP issue and help me see the truth about it, whatever it might be? I would really appreciate it.
Maybe you've heard he used to go up to the tabernacle and put his ear to the tabernacle. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't.
He's like, okay, give me the signal. So a lot of this stuff you're like trying to figure it out. You have to just ask, okay, Saint Alphonsus or Saint Thomas Aquinas, please intercede. Help me to understand some of this stuff, because you don't. Without grace, it's like your cell phone without a signal. It's like you might get a little, but really it's grace that does it. And yeah, you can use your head, but it ain't going to get you all the way. And so part of why I think I know some of this stuff is because I've been really, really trashed by the powers that be. like put up against the wall and machine gunned. Okay, so when that happens, if you're still standing, it kind of cleared away some stuff, so I could see some things. So because I, like people who, a lot of saints who experience real wild things, really bad things, they become, they get more grace, right? Just like Saint Ignatius, who got his leg shot off by the cannon. It's where he converted. So part of that is, this is why you don't want any purgatory time. So when suffering comes your way, you're like, okay, the suffering is like, it's like doing sit-ups, getting ready to play football. You got to get tough, and you didn't want to do this, but God knows exactly what suffering he's sending to tweak to, perfect your goal. So
that's beautiful, John. I think that's a beautiful presentation of God's permission of suffering in our lives. I really see you as a Job figure. You're a man who's lost everything, and you still praise God. You say, though he slay me, I shall still love and praise him. And I really respect that about you.
Well, thanks. What helps is just really trying to keep the perspective, man, of you don't want to spend 2 seconds in purgatory.
I would rather not. Yeah.
God doesn't want you there. You don't want to be there. It's a waste of time. Don't go there. Keep your scapular on, of course. Don't go there. So any suffering is here. We're trying to clean up your act, okay? And so anyway, to answer your question about St. Thomas Aquinas, yes, I can pray that for you. And then it's just a great thing to ask when you do your intentions before Mass. Excuse me, before the consecration. Place your every time before the that's why Mass is so good. I can't stand Novus Ordo. But I go there with I wear earplugs and earphones on top of it. I wear earmuffs, and I keep my eyes closed. I don't want the priest facing me. I just go to the Magnificat. I don't want to hear anything. But I do go for the Eucharist, and I present my intentions before the consecration. So you want to attach those intentions to the consecration. It takes it right to the throne of the Father. That's not easy access. Wow. But you do it through. This is why you don't like the priest facing you. He's like, "You're God, cafeteria Catholic." No, right. I don't want the priest facing me. No, but sorry, I dominated the airwaves and I talked your ear off because I do. Otherwise, we're going to talk more about you and the Novus Ordo thing and the whatever.
Okay, John. I asked you to speak. My friend Sam, the Orthodox guy, he wanted me to listen to you, so that's what we did. What we needed to do. Let's plan to have a part 2, maybe in 3 or 4 months. Let's tentatively plan to have a part 2, and we'll talk about other stuff. Sound good to you?
Yeah. Okay. You have a YouTube channel yourself, right?
I'm working on it. It's kind of a new thing for me. This whole thing's kind of new.
All right, cool. All right. So is this a wrap then, do you think? No, wait, dude, you got to tell me this. Are you still, the jury's still out, or do you still think NFP people can do NFP and go to heaven? NFP is still in accord with God's will ever?
I don't understand the nature argument enough yet. So I defer to human.
Okay. So sometimes it's a little tough to do. It's real quick. It's not easy to change religions like that. And this also needs to be, this is why I like to do it in writing, so we can be precise, because having coffee talk like this is all cool, but if you're really trying to get to the nub of 2 + 2 is what exactly? Yeah. Give me the number exactly and where it comes from. Then you're asking me to change religions. I got some decisions to make, but I need it really rock solid, or you got your flavor, I got my flavor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let me make this invitation then, John. You have my phone number now. You have my email. please feel free to send me anything you think would help. And I'm serious. I would like you to ask.
Okay. All right. So I can. And then also, what's even better in a way is put it in the comments section of this video. If you've got a question, or you're not sure about something, or you're like, you want to play devil's advocate, no problem. Like Aquinas, Devil's Advocate, all those guys. Hey, objection, objection. Cool,
I love
dude.
it.
That's what I want Timothy Gordon to do. He's like, no way. So this can help, and then you got to make some decisions. All right, let's call it good. Peace out, Christopher. Thanks for having it.
One more thing, maybe.
Yeah. What?
What's your favorite punk band? What's your favorite punk song?
Oh, favorite punk band is Dead Kennedys. Favorite punk song is a 12XU by Minor Threat.
I'll look them up. See you later, John.
All right, cheers.
In a glad